Hello medievalists, we are back with some more 1212 AD view here today as we have a historical battle and we have the Battle of Stirling Bridge here as William Wallace is up in rebellion and he's raised thousands of Scots to rebel against King Edward I, King Edward Longshanks, and his rule over Scotland, who wants to be both King of England and Scotland. And William Wallace having none of it. He's actually rallied together over 6,000 Scots, and they're now facing down, and well, they're facing down 9,000 Englishmen. They are, as they try to siege down Stirling Castle, but the English have sent a mighty army under the Earl of Surrey and Hugh de Cressingham to try and lift the siege of Stirling Castle, and William Wallace is waiting for the English. So yes, we are back with some 1212 AD historical battles, which I'm very much looking forward to. And you're probably looking at this battle and thinking, what on earth is this setup here that you've got going on? This looks disgusting. But we do have the Scots sort of set up. The idea is sort of that the Scots are set up so they can launch an attack on the English. The idea that being that the Stirling Castle is over here. You got to give it a bit of imagination because there is not a Stirling Castle or Stirling Bridge map. Of course, we're just using a river crossing map. This actually is one in Scotland, though. There are two crossings. Historically, the English were aware of two crossings as well, and they chose to, instead of going over the larger, wider crossing, which was a bit like this one in history, just an actual just natural crossing, which would have allowed 60 knights to cross at a time. They decided to go over a really narrow bridge, a man-made bridge, which only allowed for 2 knights to cross abreast at a time. And once around about 2,000 of the English were actually across, so about a third of the English army was across. The Scots actually decided to attack, and they basically massacre the 2,000 troops there that have already crossed, and then the Earl of Surrey has to just kind of watch from the other side of the river and just kind of watches his army, part of his army is annihilated. And he just turns around, and Stirling Castle then eventually does fall because they see sort of like the relief force is defeated, and then they surrender in turn. So a great victory for William Wallace, probably one of his most famous victories, Stirling Castle, in the Wars of Independence that Scotland fights England for. So yeah, this is supposedly the vanguard force that goes across, and we are now charging in with our forces here, as you can see, to actually strike here. So this is William Wallace and his troops. They did have minimal knights here in this battle, did the Scots. They had about 300 knights. And I honestly think we might have about 300 cavalry in this battle, while the English had somewhere around, maybe like as many as 2,000 knights. They have like an insane amount of cavalry, or at least 2,000 cavalry, not necessarily knights, but sergeants and such like. And I think there are a good mix in this one. But yeah, the Scots definitely, I'd say, probably don't have that great of troops. They have a lot of light infantry, lots of Highlanders. Their real sort of muscle is those Gallaglytes, double-handed swords that are going in, well, double-handed axes, I should say. And they've got the pike schiltrons as well, which they are famed for as well. Which is the way that they counter against the English knights throughout the Wars of Independence. Yeah, I think this battle is in Braveheart. If you've watched Braveheart, it's probably how everyone knows about William Wallace. It's been a hot minute since I've watched Braveheart, so I generally cannot remember. And I do think, battle is in it. I can't remember if they even in their depiction they even bother having a bridge. In some depictions of the battle, or some records of the battle, the bridge collapses because of the fighting on it. I don't know if that's necessarily is the case. I think they just retreat back across it, just don't keep crossing. The Scottish Knights are thinking about it going for a rear charge. These sergeants here have a very open flank that can just be hit right now. But the English, as they're trying to defend here against the Scots, getting attacked from multiple sides, are getting across more and more troops. There's another army pretty much already across. The English do have the numerical advantage. Actually, they have 7,200 against 6,700 as it stands. They probably do have better troops as well. A lot of English foot knights here, which are going to slaughter these lighter armed infantry. I think they're in there now, actually. Yeah, you can see these guys, like, with their helms on, battling away. Galaglites are in here as well, big axes. They will do some damage to those heavily armored knights. Killing generals is going to be very key. This big gap here is a big bad problem for the English. They're going to need to fill that in. We actually got the King's Bodyguard, which is supposed to be William Wallace going in. I know he didn't really fight horseback, but it's nice to, you know, sort of distinguish him in some way, since there's no William Wallace sort of unique general. It'd be really cool if the Scots were to have a better roster. I mean, it's such a famous medieval faction, and it's got a really poor roster, to be honest, in most eras. We are using tier 1 because it's a 1297 battle, so it is still 13th century. So most of these units do fit the bill for what would have been at sort of Stirling Bridge. Galaglites to battle away here. What are they fighting? Sergeants. We've got spears here in the front line. These spearmen, I don't think are that great, but they absolutely get descended upon here. As you can see, there's a lot of Highlanders and Galaglites here on this corner, putting a lot of pressure on. We've got General King's Bodyguard in the front line. I guess this is like could argue this is like the Earl of Surrey or Hugh de Cressingham. In the front line here, these armoured horsemen battling on. Haven't been able to get any charges off, and in along melee, they are not going to do so well. The archers need to probably get back. A general has fallen. I don't think it's that one, but it's a different one over here. Yeah, he's fighting over here, and he's actually being assailed by spears and a Scottish knight unit, and he's routed. We've now got sergeants here that I think we're trying to assist him. They're now in the thick of it. With that general dead, I think that's also broken a lot of troops in this corner here. These archers need to just keep firing. They're shooting at William Wallace right now. Very cheeky of them, but you've got to do what you've got to do to win. Got a Lord's Bodyguard in here. Maybe one of the other sub-commanders for the Scottish rebellion. There were some Scottish nobles that were fighting on both sides. So there's Scottish nobles and knights fighting on both sides. Not like it wasn't like every Scot was fighting against the English. There was very much like a split there. Some that benefited obviously from being under English rules, so they didn't. Another King's Bodyguard here breaking up for the English. That's huge, and a huge rout now taking place here as cavalry and Galaglites here just rushing through. This whole front over here is broken. The other army is on its way across right now for the English. They need to get a move on. They need to get running, to be honest. Like, we've got these axe archers here. They're marching. They're moving. They need to get running. These spears here as well. They need to try and set up another defense. Balance power, it's not out of the limits of the English to do this. It has shifted. 5,000 against 4,000. Still a lot of cav. Actually, I think a lot of the cav's gone, actually, for the English. I was going to say they did have a lot of cav. They got some of the front lines here, this English knights. They need to try and cycle charge these guys. Yeah, the tactics of us was really to try and cut off the supply of more troops coming across the river, to try and recreate sort of like the Earl of Surrey's, just standing and watching and going, well, I guess I watched my army die. Like, at least that portion died. We're trying to cause an encirclement. Didn't quite work out because the English have managed to really hold on to the very edges of the riverbed quite nicely and been able to flood more troops across. You see the Galaglites here still going in. They will rip through these spears. These spears are not great. A lot of early tier spears are pretty poor, poorly armored. Units breaking here. A lot of these spears, these spear curtain here, they're pretty poor. They're breaking pretty quickly. Axe sergeants here trying to do their best. They will rip through a lot of these spears here. More Galaglites going in though. There's quite a lot of these shock. They feel like, you know, we're going for a sort of like real like role play and sort of like, you know, William Wallace's troops are like mainly Highlanders and Galaglites, guys that just, you know, proper like Highland troops from the far reaches of Scotland, not the southern lords who are more, you know, more English than they were Scottish. That's kind of what we're going for in sort of like build of armies here. Maybe not historically accurate, but very, very much more sort of like, I guess, movie accurate for Braveheart. Galaglites here, yeah, just ripping through these guys. I mean, mercenary Welsh Javies here are going to start setting up. That's another thing that the English had so many of, with mercenaries in their armies. At this point, like the empire that the English were able to like call upon, they had like troops from France, from England. They had like actually a pretty large manpower pool, which is kind of insane. Like certainly larger than the Scots. They could field huge armies. sometimes. And just incompetently, sometimes are beaten. Look at that. Axar just defeated. I mean, this is what we're doing, using our longbows here as effectively as possible. I'm surprised they didn't set up their longbows. I guess maybe they don't have the reach to shoot to the other side of the river. They have longbows here, though, in the river shooting. We are going to see more English foot knights getting sent across. But as it looks like now, you can tell I think the Scots are going to have this. They are going to get this. History looks like it might be recreated here. Oh, gosh, what is going on with that lighting? There you go, more English knights going in.
Our men are breaking off.
There you go, the spears going in now. These Javis, I think, are getting focused down because they were causing actually quite a bit of bother. I think they were trying to snipe generals as well, and they were doing a lot of damage with their missiles. Actually, Javis are really good in 12-12, to be honest. It's a really good armor-piercing unit to actually use. But it looks like, I mean, the line's holding for now. I think in a moment we're going to start to see fires getting used to try and master out stuff. A lot of shots going into these Axar. Just getting like good angles with the archers is just so important. Shooting front on just does not work. I feel like archers are just not as effective in 12-12 as they are in like Dawnless Days. Like I feel like archers in Dawnless Days, if you can get like 4 units, you can still murder you like infantry if you're firing relatively head on. Like I feel like angles are so much more important. Certainly like shooting armor, like knights, like mounted knights, is like really hard. If you've got a healthy unit, like shooting it with bows is not a good idea. Crossbows, gunners, different story. But certainly bows kind of suck a little bit in 12-12. Lots of longbows here being used. A lot of longbows actually. We've got 3 company longbowmen over here. I think the English had plenty of longbows. They're all just dead as well. Yeah, there you go. Fire is going in. Routing a lot of it. Oh my gosh, what is going on with the lighting?
Enemy units have rallied and returned to the battle.
Got pikes in and now, which England has no response to. I think in one of the rosters for these custom armies, they did have billmen, but I just don't think they chose to bring that billman army. Because billmen were very much a common sight in most European armies. A good anti-cav unit. Here you go, the King's Bodyguard's going to break through, and there is no Scots here, so this is something that we feared as the English cav. I mean, it's not necessarily a problem at this point, but the English cav has actually been able to get space and operate, which is something that we just managed to not do, because how we set up, this is kind of how we were trying to set up the scenario as well. It's like, how can we get these Scots so they actually are able to launch a sort of an ambush, because at least when reading the records, it seems that the English cross, knowing that the Scots are there, but don't know that they're going to get attacked, and the Scots do attack first. I guess that might be the Earl of Surrey there. It's a shame we don't have like a Lord's Bodyguard, just like King's Bodyguard for the English. It does not make for good role play. And they got shock infantry there to supporting, so that's going to be an easy win, even though I don't think my general, when I sent him in, actually got a good brace off, to be honest. You can see the cordon's starting to break. Units are getting encircled. Gallaglikes are slaughtering stuff. I imagine some of these guys might have got some massive kills, these shock infantry. They get rear charges and kill the squishy infantry, the squishy archers and stuff like that. They're going to probably get a lot of kills there. And there you go, the general's gone. He's re-rallied. There's literally like 30 seconds left. I don't think they're going to be doing much. And instead of 2,000 troops dying, well over 7,000 troops have died in this one. Numbers were kind of quite close. But yeah, not like not. I think England still had about 700 extra troops, which is a lot of extra troops, and a lot of extra cav as well. But yeah, our tactic of sort of limiting the space that the English knights could use to operate in allowed us to win this one, I think. Because the English cav didn't really get a great charge off; they just charged all of my cavalry. Kind of how I hoped they would do, and then we managed to get infantry and support. England didn't do such a great job of doing that, and then they left their cav in melee, which I think was kind of also one of their downsides. But yeah, this was, from my perspective, playing as one of the Kingdom of Scotland. I wouldn't say it was necessarily the closest one, but I do think at the same time the players were like, "Oh, you probably shouldn't use that as a replay." But I was like, I don't think we're ever gonna get a very close Stirling Bridge, and at least as a historically accurate result, a pretty resounding victory in history for the Scots. But yeah. And then and the English were, soundly defeated in history. But yeah, we'll have a quick look at some of the end results. I mean, yeah, my kills here, my King's Bodyguard, he's pretty close to death, to be honest. If you had any more action to do, I think he would have died, and that could have maybe made a difference. My army is pretty much dead, and all my Gallaglikes are like, all I have left is Gallaglikes. All my spears died. My archers are still alive, but they're not going to do much of melee. But yeah, Gallaglikes, 225 kills, 329, 372, 226. 266. Some very good kills. Literally all the things that got my kills. My archers got some okay kills, 120, 147. Cav got 263, 159. So they did also get good kills. But yeah, for my infantry, my Gallagher just carried. We have Hannibal Barker playing as the second Scottish army, 160 kills with his Lord's Bodyguard. His Gallagher 231 kills, 147 kills. His Highlanders, 90 kills, 134. The Knights, pretty much untouched. His army, I think, is the most untouched, to be honest, because, or maybe swords, in fact, because, yeah, he was in the center. I think I just went in and just, like, took a lot of the losses. I kind of got there first. Then you have Sword playing as Scotland. He got 106 kills as Gallagher, 151. His general getting 162 kills. Highlanders, 123 kills. Sergeants getting 139, 100 kills, 112. And then we've got Ike playing as one of the England armies, 105 kills with his King's Bodyguard, 135 kills with the English Foot Knights, 110, and then his archers, 105 kills there. So yeah, the Knights doing pretty well, and even a Spear Routier getting 132 kills. We have Frog, Pip playing as England. Didn't get many kills. Unfortunately, he was the guy that was like attacked from all three sides. It was going to be rough for him, and I think his micros maybe not up to the test of being attacked on all three sides. Got a little bit overwhelmed, and sadly, yeah, the cav, which he had all the cav, the creme de la creme of the English nobility, just did not do anything. It sadly got killed at 82 kills. I think is the best that he had there. Axe Sergeant's 80. Then we have K1 playing as England. He was the second army across. He had a lot of these cheap Welsh spears, which actually did make up a lot of the English armies. They had a lot of mercenary spears, well, the mercenary Welsh and Irish troops. But yeah, not getting a lot of kills. Decent kills to the English Foot Knights, 109. And then his sergeant sadly also didn't get a lot of action. And this one routed pretty early, to be honest. Half strength. Is kind of surprising there. But there you go, guys. That is the Battle of Stirling Bridge. I can't say... you can make your own opinions on that. I think it was an okay battle. It was fun to be back doing some 1212 AD historical battles, that's for sure. We're going to be definitely doing some more sieges and battles in the future. Now that we have 1212 AD up and running again, I will definitely be trying to get as many scenarios done because I've got loads of ideas for Crusade battles, and some 100 Years Wars ones I'd like to try and do as well. But yeah, thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.